The open beta for MechaBreak has ended, and there's one last topic we have to cover, and that is balance. How was the balance in the open beta, and what does that mean for the release of the game? Well, first things first, I have to admit that balance is always a very tricky subject because everyone is perceiving balance a little bit different regarding their personal preference and depending on which level of skill they are playing in, right? And of course, it's a very tricky subject for the developers because it is an ongoing process and they have to cater to a lot of groups in the game. So, yes, this is tricky, but I would say we have to talk about it nonetheless. And so far, I can say that the beta was pretty good. I definitely enjoyed the balance. There were some outliers here, though. There were some strikers who brought some issues to the game. Some were overperforming, especially the ones which got some reworks, and some others were completely underperforming. And weirdly enough, for a lot of the strikers I will mention, it comes always down to one particular thing, and that is how flexible the striker is. Like, the more narrow a certain striker is in what they are doing on the battlefield, the more they seem more in line in what they're supposed to do. And the more flexible they're becoming, they will be over or underperforming in their task. Like Valken completely overperformed, right? But Valken also got a pretty big rework. This is not the Valken you played last year. And of course, they have to fine tune a lot of the stats. But I think the biggest problem Valken has is Valken is supposed to be this slow walking behemoth coming at you with a very big axe. And your only chance to really survive that is to stay the hell away from him. And that doesn't really work so much because Valken has a lot of energy right now and even has the weapon booster, which makes Valken super fast. This is why Valken is even one of the more preferred choices on the Eye of Misra map, right? He is there to transport the objective to the rocket, and Valken is super fast with that. Think about it. Like, you have normally Falcon or Sky Raider or even an Aleseness who's doing it, and then in the same category, you put this theoretically slow moving behemoth, and he is not slow moving at all. Valken is super fast. And I think this is something they have to rectify, remove more energy or energy regeneration from Valken, or remove the super boost with the melee weapon completely from the character, and then I think Valken is fine. It's just, this is why Panther has been outshined this beta. Panther should be what Valken can do, which is super maneuverable, super fast, having more energy than everyone else, and sticking like glue to the enemy. And well, Valken can do the same, but is still super tanky, is doing more damage, is more flexible. So this is why Panther got completely outshined this beta. And this is something they have to rectify. So Panther, for an example, some people would perceive Panther as weak, and Panther isn't weak. Panther is, I think, exactly where Panther should be, but Valken is just too good in everything else right now, and they have to rectify Valken and not Panther. Another character we have to talk about is Tricera, another character which can do too much. They buffed Tricera's damage, which I'm okay with, but I think what Tricera has to lose at this point, if they want to keep the damage buff, is the healing. A tank shouldn't be as strong in the healing categories as Tricera is right now. Tricera is already an immovable object on the map, especially if you play Tricera right. It's really hard to get rid of Tricera. And having the capabilities to heal yourself and your teammates is just insane. And you have especially seen it in the esports invitational they had over the weekend. Tricera was basically 100% pick because Tricera could do too many things. And if they want to keep the stats Tricera has right now, then I think the healing has to go. I think the healing has to go, and they have to give Tricera something else. But it's just too much. Another character which got a rework to a certain extent was Pinaka, and interestingly enough, Pinaka did go the other way. Pinaka has a huge problem right now because the idea of Pinaka is that you are healing a little bit less than Lumine, right? Because Lumine is a pure support slash healer, and Pinaka is bringing offensive capabilities to the battlefield. But they have nerfed the offensive capabilities so much with the rework that now you were doing less healing than Lumine and not enough damage to offset that. So Pinaka unfortunately became the second choice as a support, and a lot of people just said, nah. Pinaka was always a character where you had to work quite a bit to get your healing across and how you heal, right? And there was the extra work you would do because, well, you have your offensive capabilities to defend yourself. But now you still have to do the extra work. You still have to go into some very dangerous territory you don't necessarily want to be in, but you have completely lost your offensive capabilities. You don't even have enough ammunition anymore to shoot down a Falcon, even if you hit all the shots. And it's just, ugh. They have to give back Pinaka the offensive capabilities. Not, of course, as much as in the beta last year. I totally can see that Pinaka was very broken there, was very OP, and we shouldn't go back to that. But how Pinaka is right now is not good. Or they push Pinaka even more into the healing area, which would be, in my opinion at least, really unfortunate, because I love the idea to have a pure healer and to have something more on the offensive side of things. I love the concept of Pinaka, and I would love that they stick to it. Another character we definitely have to talk about is Skyraider. Hey, another character which is doing something different, right? If you're looking at Falcon, Falcon got definitely a damage buff, and thanks now to the new maneuvers and the ability to basically stick to a point with the down spiral you can do, Falcon is doing insane amount of damage. And that's fine, because Falcon is a DPS, Falcon is an assassin type striker, and that's what Falcon is supposed to do, right? When you are looking at Skyraider, though, Skyraider is not an assassin type. Skyraider is there to disrupt, to do quite a bit of AoE damage to make sure that the fluid armor of the enemy is low and that your team can capitalize on that. Unfortunately, the numbers right now are too low, and Skyraider is more like a pest than really something you are too concerned about. And what they can do here, I think, is making the right click even stronger. Like, make it hurt when people stand still in that AoE. Because if they don't move, well, they will get an insane amount of damage and they really have to be concerned about their health. Or if they move, well, then you were also successful in what you were doing because you want them to move from an objective. You want them to move from a specific spot. And this is how they avoid damage, by putting themselves maybe in an unfavorable position other people can capitalize on, right? This is how they could make Skyraider definitely stronger in its specific role, which is disruption, but not making it too strong in all the other categories. But let's be honest here, right now, Skyraider, if I want AoE with even strong single target damage, support abilities, and tankiness, I don't take a Skyraider, I take a Stego, right? So it's this, there is something which can do more single target damage, that's Falcon. And there is something which can do more disruptive damage, more AoE damage, and that's a Stego. So Skyraider has to fit somewhere in between. And again, as I said, buffing the right click would probably be a pretty good way of doing so. But all the other characters, I think, have performed very well. I know some people would love to hear more about the two snipers, Narukami and Aquila. But from what I've seen, they fulfill their role on certain maps. Same goes for Leesness. Like, I have been watching the Esports Invitational. I have been reaching Grandmaster on my European account and Diamond on my US account. Unfortunately, have mostly played against bots. So I never saw Inferno. This is the last thing I will say, and then we are wrapping it up. But I never saw Inferno because, well, you couldn't really get Inferno in the open beta, which was really unfortunate. If you have seen an Inferno on your team or the enemy team, congratulations, you played against bots. But I did saw Inferno in esports, and it was exactly what I expected. Inferno is a monster. Really good in long range tank busting, but also AoE. Now has 2 shotguns when somebody is coming too close. I don't know why they gave Inferno the shotgun. I really don't. That was basically his weak spot, having somebody on its ass. And now you have 2 shotguns, fantastic, but you are still the long range DPS as well. And it led to a lot of picks. I would say 80% of the games we had Inferno in esports, and Inferno outperformed a lot of the DPS. We will see what they have to change when it comes to numbers, but it's really hard to talk about balance in esports and balance in normal games, because when you are looking at the team play and how the people are playing when it comes to esports, it's just insane in comparison. So yeah, I cannot really make a good judgment call on Inferno and how it would perform in pub games, because, well, we didn't really have Inferno available. But in esports, definitely a monster. With that said, we are at the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and you want to keep up to date for everything which is MechaBreak, I would appreciate if you leave a like and also subscribe to the channel, because there will be more MechaBreak videos in the future, and I'm looking forward to it. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe.